Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Awareness. I am your host, Vikram Prashar, and today I have a very special guest for all of you. He is a WWE NXT Tag Team Champion and a WWE veteran. Today we are going to wrestle the mind with Axel, the Axeman Tischer, aka Alexander Wolfe. How are you doing today, Axel?
I'm doing great. Call me a WWE veteran. I do not consider myself a veteran. Maybe in wrestling, but definitely not WWE. But thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you for taking the time to come on today. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and as I have told you, this show is very pro wrestling and mental health centric. So I do like to kick things off on a very positive note, and part of having a positive mindset is gratitude. Like, we're well into 2021. What are some things you're grateful for to come out of this year so far?
I'm grateful that I cannot complain about so-called first world problems. I'm grateful for just having a happy and healthy life, that my family and all my loved ones are in good wealth and good health. So yeah, I'm always great for like smaller things and things you should not take for granted, as I mentioned before, health.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like, especially when you're even having a bit of a negative mindset at times, because it happens to all of us, right?
It's human.
Yeah, an easy way to just feel better is even being grateful for the littlest things. I remember
Yeah.
sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit depressed, when I wake up, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm thankful I have my family here. I'm thankful I get to wake up this morning." So it's definitely a good way to keep a positive mindset. And so that's a great way to kick things off. And like, now, obviously, the biggest elephant in the room lately has been your departure from the WWE. And you were in the company for a little while, and you were part of some great factions, man, like SAnity. I was a big fan of SAnity. And obviously, we've got Imperium going. You were part of Imperium, which is also a phenomenal faction. What led you to your departure from the WWE?
What led to my departure? Probably budget cuts and the pandemic. That was the reason why I got told to let go. So basically, I'm still in the contract because it's today's July 2nd. My contract will finish or will be expired on June 15th. Yeah, June 2nd today, June 15th. And I got told 2 weeks ago that they will not renew my contract of due to budget cuts and all that kind of stuff. What they tell you. I was asking for kind of like, okay, is that the reason? I guess I think it's BS. I think it's basically something I don't know. I don't believe in it because everybody who kind of knows that WWE is wealthy enough and probably more wealthy enough than other companies, but other companies, they kind of like stick to their talents. And WWE, it's a big corporate thing,
Yeah.
I think. Corporate companies do corporate things. Even as we realized today, on June 2nd as well, that I'm not the last one who got let go, sadly enough. But yeah, I mean, when they tell me the reasons and they don't tell me something else, in the end, I cannot do anything besides, swallowing the pill and just, live with it because in the end, it will not dictate what I will do in life. It will not make my life better or worse. So you just have to take the answer and you just think, okay, they're being honest with you. But yeah, in the end, it sounds a little bit negative. It's not. I'm happy right now. I'm in a happy state. I wasn't very sad afterwards. The only thing what bothers me at the most is probably will never make so much money with doing nothing. But in the end, like I always try to see my glass half full. That now I'm back on my own. Now I can create my own future. I have 100% control over my creative, what I want to portray for the fans in the ring, what I want to do, and I couldn't do that on WWE. I'm grateful for 6 years of that experience. They made me a better performer and a better wrestler. I learned a lot. I did a lot. I had the chance to perform in front of so many great fans. And again, I'm very grateful for that. But now is a different time, and I cannot, you know, concentrate on the past. The past is the past, and now is now. So I have to look forward, and I'm positive that the future is bright.
Absolutely, man. And that's always the key. And a lot of successful people in the world have always said that, is that you got to look forward. Your back is against the wall, but you must look forward. And that's a very positive way to look at life. And I was going to ask you about some of the releases we saw today with talent such as Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy. But like we pretty much did touch on that. Like they're claiming it's budget cuts. Some people believe it, some don't. I'm just wishing the best for all the talent that's
Amen.
around. Yeah, and they can all do great things.
They
And
all
like
would do great. They all would
yeah,
do great.
absolutely. 100%. And like as mentioned earlier, you're a part of some great factions like SAnity and Imperium, and those were both very entertaining to the fans, and I'm sure they were probably a lot of fun to be a part of. Like what was your favorite part of your time in WWE? Would you say it was in SAnity or while in Imperium?
Both. I kind of got introduced as a TV screen talent with SAnity. I evolved as a entertainer and as a performer with SAnity as well. I had the chance to work with four amazing people together to work on the same goal, and that was making that gimmick, that idea of SAnity, make it like successful. And I think we did a great job in that in NXT. On SmackDown, not so much. And the other part with Imperium was also great. So I cannot decide because both of it has the special time, or I had the special time with those stables. But with Imperium was a little bit more special because I had the chance to work with one of my best friends from the wrestling industry together again. This time together as an on-screen character on a stable, and portray myself a little bit more how I would like to portray myself, being more the wrestler than the character.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. And, now that you're a free agent, as we mentioned earlier, just looking ahead at things, the wrestling business is at a point where, being a free agent can be a lot of fun. We've got a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
companies out there. We've got AEW, ROH, MLW, Impact, New Japan. And of course, if you don't want to be exclusive to any company, you could be on the independent wrestling scene, which is also on a rise. What do
yeah.
you see yourself doing most likely?
Probably because of doing the visa issues or the visa status, I have to leave the country of the United States of America first. We'll go back to Germany, to my hometown, where I've been born and where I've just lived the majority of my life. Yeah, just going back there and just find my roots again. I did a lot of like other sports um, to kind of like strengthen up my fundament of wrestling. So, and also like for now, I think we'll go back to the indie circuit. Everything is opened up again in Europe as well, Germany as well. So probably do like independent wrestling shows first, and then we'll see. Like time will tell if another company has the interest in my abilities and my talent. If they want to use me as an asset to, work for the companies and entertain their fans, I'm open for negotiation. Of course, my contract will end up June 15th, so they probably have to wait till the contract is over. But yeah, whatever comes, I'm very flexible. I'm open for everything, as long as professional, as long as has value to my brand. So yeah, but majority will be indie booking for well because when I left Germany for NXT 2015, that was not the biggest, or that was not a market as it right now, like independent circuit wise. I think 2016 that was something like a boom. They always called like the big boom of independent wrestling, especially in England. So you had a lot of promotions there, but I couldn't perform for them because I was on the WWE contract and I was trying to get on the NXT TV shows. So, but now I have the chance to, try to perform there, just make the calls, make the connections, make the emails, whatever, and just, reintroduce myself to the open market of pro wrestling. And I'm really keen on doing that because I felt I missed a lot of, let's say, opportunities while I was at the performance center training, which is not a bad thing because it helped me to, evolve my skills as well and just get on NXT television. But I feel like I would love to have like a big independent wrestling run just to get a bigger name before I went to WWE. But, I would love to do it. I wouldn't change anything because I'm happy with what I have accomplished. But right now I have the chance to do that, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's a good thing you wouldn't change anything because a lot of people don't understand that everything happens for a reason, right?
Yep.
So that's always a key to live by. And saying you're gonna go by on the independent circuit, just from a fan's perspective, right here. Once you are done on the independent circuit, once you can come back to the United States, if Eric Young still has that Violent by Design faction going in Impact, I think you'd fit very well right there.
Maybe because of what I have done with Sanity, but I wouldn't want to do it because the way it is right now, it's cool, and I don't think I could make it cooler. I probably could, like, when you're a good chef and you operate with like 2 or 3 guys and you bring out the greatest meal in the world, and then another guy comes to you, puts maybe too much salt in the soup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of times you ruin something just with packing it. And I don't think I could fit, but I think I should not be a part of that group. If an idea is there and it looks great and everything would be awesome, yeah, why not? Again, I'm open for everything as long as professional, like it benefits my brand.
100%.
But I think a lot of people ask the question about Violent by Design, and I like it. And you see kind of like what Sanity could have become on the main roster, because like the majority of the idea Eli is putting in there, it's like ideas he had at the time we've just been on SmackDown, but we did not have the chance to build that in the whole character. But I'm happy for Ewa that he finally his place where he can just be creative enough to show a vision of his creation, because he's a very creative guy and he has a great mind for that stuff. So, and I do not want to ruin it, even if I don't think I could ruin it, but there's always a possibility that, there's one thing always too much. So less is then more in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally understand that point of view. And as you did mention, you're going to be on the indie circuit for a while. Do you have any certain faces or certain names that you want to encounter on the independent scene?
Definitely X-Men and Axel Tischer, which is my real name. Because I like my name, and X-Men, I had this since I started wrestling training. Because it's kind of easy, like Axel and X-Men, and I like X-Men because I'm a fan of hardcore music, and a lot of times when a guitar player goes nuts, call it like X-Men or like a murder or something like that. So I always saw it in a way that I kind of like be a very rocket guy who's, hard hitting and everything. So I thought X-Men would fit again. Also, like a lot of times you carry a name through the whole years you're in there, and people get used to that name. The same with Alexander Wolfe. Like the majority of WWE guys who know me as Wolfe, they always call me Wolfie. And I will not lose that name, Wolfie. So I was thinking maybe doing something with Wolf as well, just without the E, because just the animal. And that was the main idea in the beginning with the name, to have Wolf in my WWE name. Yeah, so probably the X-Men T-shirts will stay. And then maybe in the future, who knows, if there needs to be a change for any reason, I probably will go back to Wolf, to maybe keep it actual Wolf, because I like my first name. It's quite unique. Not a lot of people have that, but like keep the Wolf in it, because sometimes I identify myself also with the Wolf. It can be lowly, but it also can be, inside the pack. So whatever comes to.
Yeah, of course. And even with the whole Wolf moniker, a lot of cool logos could be made out of that too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely great for marketing as well. And if I'm correct, I think I did read that you would say that things in the WWE, you guys ended things off in a good note, right? On a good note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
no animosity because it's a business and you have to understand
yeah.
this. If they tell me they will not renew me because of budget cuts and I had a pretty good contract, I understand that because they want to save money, which I do not understand, but that's a different perspective. And it's also my opinion, so
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's true or not. But they tell you, hey, or they told me we have to let you go, and I understand because you cannot change it. But there's no reason why you should burn bridges, why you should be mad, even if it sucks. Especially at the moment, you have to realize, okay, they do not want to keep you, so it's always a little low blow. But you have to understand this, or you have to know that nothing is personal in a business. Nothing is personal,
Absolutely.
especially in professional wrestling. If you take stuff personal, you kind of like get messed up in your head. So if somebody in a promo says, even if it's breaking the fourth wall and they kind of doing something, you should never take anything personal. If it's not a person you're really close with. So when one of my best friends in wrestling would try to kind of like do something like that, then it's more personal. But the majority of the guys you're around with, you kind of like you hang around a little bit, you have here and there talk, more lengthy conversation, maybe just a small talk. So it's basically like a real work. And if they tell you, okay, we have to let you go, you can go nuts, you can go crazy, you can cuss and whatever, but in the end, it will damage your image even more. And when they told me the message, I was yeah, okay, cool. So just
Yeah.
what's next? What we have to do to end this collaboration, to end this working relationship, especially for me with visa and everything. And you have to settle the matter there and just say okay, goodbye or see you in the future or whatever. And they've been very cool with me and they always like took care of me and they always took care of the talent. So there was no animosity on both sides, so which was a good ending of a relationship.
Yeah, 100%. And so since it was a good ending of a relationship, because I've had a lot of former WWE superstars on the show as well, and I've heard a lot of different things, and some of them have said that they would be open to going back. Some of them have said they'd want to work with other companies. Could you ever see yourself signing with the WWE again?
Right now at the time, uh, so yeah, because never say never. But right now at the time, I would prefer to work for different companies. Because for me right now is the chance, and sometimes somebody has to force you into a decision, or sometimes somebody else has to make a decision for you, which is better. The time in WWE was great, but you get too comfortable in no time. You're making a lot of money, you're sitting at home, do nothing, you're not on television, so you stay at home and do nothing, but still get paid the same money. So you get more when you're on television, of course, but still, like, you still get your downside guaranteed money. Um, Different story in when you're working independent. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So you have to
Yeah.
hustle, you have to do something, you have to be creative, and you kind of, you cannot really rest. You should rest your body, but you cannot really rest mentally because you always need to be focused on what's next and, to stay busy because otherwise you probably um, don't earn anything and you may well go back to normal life, but for a lot of people, it's not an option. So you end up in poverty. That's the sad truth. Um, so I'm right now, I'm very excited to do my own stuff. And also, if there an opportunity comes up to work for a different company and it's a lucrative deal where I can see myself in that company, where I can see myself, okay, I make enough money to make a living, and it's, give my 110% for this company, I would be more open to it than working for WWE again. But again, never say never. This is my attitude right now, or
Yeah,
my standing right now. But I mean, like there are a lot of like interesting things in WWE, and it's not Raw and SmackDown, in my opinion.
I
I would.
agree. Yeah.
So the only reason if I would get the chance to do something there would be just money. It would not be the interest on the product. It would not be interesting working up there, probably working with all the guys together because everybody's amazing up there and they have a lot of talent. One of like best wrestlers in the world. But just having the same process again and dealing with all this BS, not interested. So, but and just speaking hypocritically on that, because in the end, it's like you take the deal because the money is good and I have to provide a family. So you have to be realistic enough to do things, but I know I would not be happy. And sometimes it's more important to be happy than rich
A
because you
hundred
cannot
percent.
you cannot buy happiness with money. You can buy things what makes you happy, but this is, in my opinion, just temporary. Um, the work in NXT was more fun. It was better. It was less stressful. It was more efficient, in my opinion. But I really like NXT UK because the schedule was super cool. People there being awesome, and you spend your time with friends. Uh, the wrestling was wrestling, it was less entertainment, and it was a little bit more like the European vibe of it, that you kind of had more fun with your work. So I moved back to Germany because I want to, but also because of visa reasons. I have to leave a little bit earlier than I actually planned. But being in Europe again and have the chance to work for NXT UK would be maybe a different kind of story. But also right now I want to see where else I could go, where else I would get an opportunity to present myself and, just to present the true me and show off my abilities and my skill set.
Yeah, of course. And speaking of NXT UK, because it seems like the company is a fairly more lenient when it comes to NXT UK, because we've seen guys like Walter and Pete Dunne work the independent shows with the NXT UK championships. And with you being on the independent circuit now, and the way you got written off being kicked off by Imperium, would you be interested in going one-on-one with Walter?
Of course. I was super hyped for the plans they had with, okay, usually it was not written in stone or anything, but I got told like before I went to NXT UK that they want to put me together with my guys from Ringkampf. We built a stable Imperium, and then eventually I will split off and will feud with them. And of course, I have fought Walter a couple times in the independent circuit. It always was fun. Walter's one of the best wrestlers in the world for me, and he's one of the guys who really represents like professional wrestling in a very honorable way. And he's a ring general for a reason. And of course, I would love to fight him under a brand as NXT UK or just WWE in general. Like it doesn't matter which promotion, to be honest. I would love to wrestle him, to fight him every time when we step in the ring, or when we have the chance to get in a ring together. Um, so, and even like the majority of those guys, even like the other guys from Imperium, Marcel Patel and Fabian Eichner, they are awesome. They're great. They're great talents, and they will have a bright future wherever they will go. Hopefully, they have a safe job, and hopefully they become super wealthy, that they kind of like live off their success with that. So all the best for those guys. But in general, like just working with amazing talent is always fun. When it kind of like clicks and you have a chemistry, and you can show this chemistry that you have fun with it. You can kind of like spread it out to the people watching, and you feel they have fun with it. That's one of the best experience I had in the past, and that's one of the best feelings you can have in professional wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to see it happen. And a little bit of a fun question here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard does Walter chop?
Oh, 11. No, you feel that. You feel that for
Oh,
sure.
man.
And he will leave a mark on that.
I feel it while I watch the clips.
Yeah,
Him
but he has
chopping.
such big hands. right?
Yeah.
And I remember there's it's a Japanese wrestler. He's called Daisuke Sekimoto, and he was in WXW always Walter's number one enemy, was his nemesis, so to speak. And in one match, we had like in Survivor Series tag match, 5 against 5 elimination rules, and then in the end, I stood against Walter and Daisuke Sekimoto, and they just kind of used me as a punching bag to show off who has the harder chops.
Oh.
Yep, you can
I can't
imagine how my chest
imagine.
was bruised up with that.
Oh
But hey,
man.
that's a part of wrestling. Um you need to kind of like, you know what I mean? It sucks, it stings, but in the end, it's a satisfying feeling that you kind of like went through. Sounds
Yeah.
super weird, I know, but it's something, you know. I always take it as a pride that you have to kind of like suck it up. You have to
Hmm.
stand that if somebody hits you hard, you hit back, but it's still a competition. It's still a fair play that you don't hit somebody back in the way of you hurt and you injure him. You know, you hit
Yeah.
hard on safe places, and Walter is very good in that. He's a guy, he lays it in, and he's a big fella, but he never injures you with his kicks or strikes, but he
Yeah.
sure hurts you with it.
Absolutely. And I do somewhat understand a little bit because I am currently training to be a professional wrestler myself. And I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who are probably training as well. So, someone who is a veteran of the business like yourself, what advice would you give to people entering the wrestling business?
First of all, you need to go to a professional wrestling school, because a lot of people they train somewhere where nobody really is there and knows what he's doing. Um, Sometimes it's like you do not have to be the best wrestler in the world to be the best coach in the world. That's two pairs of shoes, in my opinion. Sometimes you have an awesome wrestler who is also an awesome coach, but sometimes you have a guy who couldn't lace your boots, but as a coach, he's amazing. So they need to find one who's really a good coach and is professional. Um, when I started with wrestling training, I didn't have a wrestling ring. I just trained on sport mats and everything, gymnastic gym and stuff like this. So, but then when I had the chance to do something in the ring, and it was most of the time in front of wrestling shows, I used it all the time. So always try to use your equipment, what somebody is giving you. And if you have 5 minutes time, just try to spend those 5 minutes in the ring, run the ropes, try to, feel comfortable in that what you need to call later your working tool. Also very important, always believe in yourself. Always be positive and dream the big dream and really believe in the big dream. Also, you have to work hard for that, but that's also a process. You cannot become a world champion if you not train like a world champion. When you start doing your first steps in the ring, you have to know sooner or later you have the ability to run. It's like when you grow up, you're a baby, you learn your first steps, then you learn how to walk, then as a toddler you learn how to run, etc., etc. So wrestling training is like life. You have to do the first steps. You have to get used to certain things like bumps and everything. It will probably suck in the moment, but you have to always be strong and believe in yourself. If you lose that, you lose yourself, and then eventually you lose the passion, or you will stop training, or you will lose that dream you have. And wrestling is such a weird creature that it's not a sport, it's not acting, it's both. And you have to train like an athlete. You have to be an athlete, in my opinion. You have to do your front rolls, the back rolls, and everything. But also, you need to have the charisma like an actor. You need to showcase what you try to tell, the story, what you try to tell in a ring, to get the people invested in a whole wrestling match. So, and it's so much, but it's definitely possible. And that's so many things. You probably just make sure you're in the great shape. Not speaking about like your physique, but also speaking about cardio and everything. because it's also very important for health reasons that if you are blown up, that you don't hurt yourself or you don't hurt your opponent or the guy you're training with. So there's so many stuff, but it's the majority of it. Believe in yourself and always be prepared and just do everything what you can do in your abilities and what's in your powers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some excellent advice. And on to switching gears here a little bit, because on Wrestling with Awareness, mental health has always been a topic of conversation. So if you're comfortable with sharing, have you ever struggled with your mental health, and what advice would you give to people who are struggling?
Not so much because again, I always try to stay positive, but of course, it's human nature that you not always be happy, that you always, sometimes you be sad. Maybe you lost someone or you lost something very important to you. In my case, I lost my job 2 weeks ago, and I could be, could be sad and could be everything, but I always try to find the bright side on that, because as you said before, everything happens for a reason. So a lot of people use religion for that. I'm not a religious person. I believe there's something, but I cannot prove there's nothing and something. So I still kind of like have to stand in the middle with that. And again, sometimes somebody finds something religious in it and think, okay, there's the bright side, because the reason is God has guided me towards that outcome or something. But in my opinion, is you always have to deal with stuff, and a lot of times you struggle. But when you stop doing anything, you will struggle more. So it's like a chokehold. You have to go out of that chokehold, otherwise you will pass out. And when you pass out, you will lose. So I remember when I was in SmackDown, I was a lot of times in a bad mood. I was a little bit miserable. I was depressed and everything. And then I figured out to myself, hey, I cannot blame anything or anybody. I should not blame anybody. I should blame myself. And then I was more positive, and I was kind of like, be in the mood, yeah, whatever comes, you do it. And when you do not have a chance to control it, always when they give you something, just make 100% of your effort and put it in there and show them, okay, you were still positive enough to be great in your job. And then the NXT UK thing came up. So everything happens for a reason, right? So now for me, it's the thing, number one, I have to find something what makes it positive. A lot of times, for example, when I had the talk with WWE where they told me the message of they will not renew my contract, the first thing what came towards me was my 2-year-old son. So I gave him a hug, and I was positive right away, because I have, in my opinion, not the time to be sad right now. I have no time to cry, because I need to be strong for him. So he is kind of like I gained power because of him, because I know I have to be strong for him, for his future and everything. And that brought me joy in my life, because I know I will make him proud and will make him happy. So sometimes you have to find something where you get your positivity back. And when the sun is shining, there's no time for crying, So that's basically the stuff what I do. I know mental health, mental health reasons why people are sad and everything can be very devastating for a lot of people, especially in that time with Corona, where a lot of people lost their jobs because of reasons and everything. So it's a hard topic, and it's something where I cannot really be an advisor on that, because I've never experienced like a really hard downfall with that. But I have the most respect for people who have to deal with it and stay strong. And even like for the people who are not staying strong, you get their like professional help with that, because other people are stronger. And nowadays it's weird, because like, especially like worldwide, there is a big division between the people nowadays, if it's political, if it's belief or whatever. But I believe, especially people with mental health issues, they have to find somebody which they could kind of like not carry a long time, but kind of like bring up, motivate and everything. There's a lot of like guys out there, motivation speakers and everything. But I think the best part is when, for example, when I would know somebody who has mental health issues, I would offer him my help, would try to, talk with him about it. I would try to convince him, like, hey, try my method because it worked for me good and I struggle with it. So help each other in that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is some great advice and very honest too. So I appreciate you opening up about that. And as someone who's been successful in the wrestling business and even in life in general, you're a father, you've had a great career, you're going to continue to have a great career. How does Axel maintain his positive and healthy mindset on like a daily basis?
Number one, don't watch news or listen to radio news. Stay away from the television because they will make your life miserable. Because when you watch the news, you don't see puppies, you don't see flowers, you don't see the sunlight. You see nasty shit, what is going around the world by nasty people. And when you fill up your mind with darkness and with negativity, that makes you sick sooner or later. So stay away from television. I try to limit myself or just stay away from social media because social media is poison as well, in my opinion. Even I have to use it right now more for promoting myself in the independent circuit or whatever. But at the time where I was employed by WWE, I was giving 0 Fs about social media because, again, social media is also a big reason why mental health issues happen because of cyberbullying, because of people hiding behind profiles and have the freedom to say what they say, which is okay. But in the end, a lot of things are getting out of control. A lot of people are very reckless about that. So when you do not need social media, stay off social media as well.
I agree.
It's the hard truth. And even like, I know like a lot of people use it to promote their stuff. You probably use it for the podcast. I use it for my wrestling career. But the internet in general, and especially social media, it can be a powerful tool to do something, but also it can be a very powerful tool to hurt people. And
agreed.
If I translate it correctly, the saying that the feather is sometimes heavier than the sword, right? So you can hit somebody and maybe leave a bruise, but if you mentally hit somebody, if you, I don't know, bully him, whatever, it can be a long time damage. So yeah, but so what I do is I try to enjoy the smaller lives, the smaller things in life, right? Health, happiness, a good conversation, a good cup of tea, a good cup of coffee, a good meal, so because it's not for granted. People in the world are in hunger, so it's not for granted that you wake up and you can eat your favorite breakfast or something. So being grateful, how we started the interview, that's something where you always stay positive. When you see the sun, go out in the sun. I do it most of the time. When I go out and the sun is shining, I probably stand there with my mug of coffee there and drink my coffee and just enjoy the sun. You get your vitamin D. Your vitamin D3 is very important, especially when I remember I live right now in Florida. We'll move back to Germany, and you will have seasons. And Germany is famous for having kind of like a quite short summer, a nice summer. But when you go into the autumn and winter months, so it's always dark, rainy, something cold. People are miserable because they do not get sunlight. You know what I mean? And if the sun is out there, they're probably somewhere working in the factory or whatever. So you need to keep up your vitamin D3 because that's something what makes you less depressed, or you're not sensitive for getting depression very fast.
Yeah, of course. That's some great advice, honestly. And I agree, like, especially when you mentioned the news. Sometimes my mom tells me, because as an 18-year-old kid, she's like, "Oh, you should be informative, learn about the news, watch the news a little bit more." I'm like, I'm fine with reading it sometimes, but if I watch it every day, I just can't. It's too, because they only focus on the negatives in life, right? Like,
yeah, no, that's
it
the
brings you
selling
down.
point. I can tell you something positive. and then I tell you something negative. And when I ask you 1 month later, you probably just remember the negative because it's more newsworthy and it's something what sticks more instead of I had a good day. Point. And then when you say, "Oh, my day was shit," the shit because this and that and this and that, and 1 month later you probably, "Hey, how's that going? I hear it was the shit and blah blah blah." So that's why, and news they feed on that. That's the whole the thing. So when I watch news in America, they're the worst, and then I think it's better in Germany. No, they're the same stuff, and half of it is maybe not true because
Yeah.
when you read a lot, you inform yourself about certain kind of topics, and depends what you read and what you're interested in. But a lot of times they report on something, and then 3 months later they change their mind or said no, it was a false claim, and this is now the real news. And you think, wait a minute, so what is that all about? And then in the end, you
Yeah.
caught them like misinformating like people, where it's just people just live with that and just probably waste time thinking about that, and it's just a waste of time. So, and a good friend of mine, and he struggled with mental health issues as well, also a little bit drug addiction and everything because of that. Um, he said something in a recent conversation. It's just happiness about in life. It's just live off switch off the television, and right away you become the happiest person in life because you don't hear it and you don't care about it and you just care about the important things in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true. It's 100% true. And I appreciate you giving that advice. And I do like to finish things off with all my guests with a quick fun game. So I'm going to list off 10 names and you can use one word or sentence to describe each of them.
Oh,
Does that sound
cool.
good?
Try my
All
best.
right. Of course. So we're going to start things off with Eric Young,
Amazing guy.
Nikki Cross,
Amazing girl.
Killian Dane.
My travel husband or wife, depends how you see it.
Pete Dunne.
Amazing talent.
Absolutely. Tyler Bate.
Amazing talent as well.
Trent Seven.
Amazing talent as well. Mustache man. Great
Yeah.
beard.
Joe Coffey.
Scottish powerhouse.
Yeah,
And
he's
also, like,
great, man.
amazing talent fits for everybody. But
Yeah,
yeah, Scottish
it really
powerhouse
does.
because the king of iron.
Yeah.
So he lifts a lot of weights. He's ridiculously strong.
Yeah. Marcel Bartel.
Um, I need to use the set right now. One of my best friends in wrestling business, and such an amazing wrestling persona and talent because he grew up in the wrestling business, and he is an very extraordinary talent, which hopefully will have an awesome career in his future.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great.
There's more than one sentence, by the way.
Oh, no problem. No problem. It's happened before. Fabian Eichner.
Human and also one of the coolest dudes I can call my friend in wrestling business. He the same with Marcel, but he also trained with wrestling legends together, and his knowledge about everything and his abilities, what he can use in the ring and what he does in the ring, is extraordinary. So awesome guy, and also hopefully you will have an awesome wrestling career in his future.
Yeah, of course. And then last but not least, the current United Kingdom champion, Walter.
Ring general, not for a reason. Like I said before, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's very smart in how he does his business and how he wrestles, and yeah, he is successful, and that's for a very reason because he's who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just wrestled the mind with Alexander Wolfe, aka Axel the Axeman Tischer. I really thank you for hopping on the show. Would you like to plug anything, whether it's any upcoming shows or social media, anything you've got coming up?
Upcoming shows, nothing so far besides interviews. But as I said in the interview, on June 15th, my contract runs out. So June 16th, I'm a freelancer. I'm, available for work. I will move back end of June back to Germany. Will settle myself back there, and will probably pick up some work beginning of July. You can contact me on Twitter. It's at Axman3016. On Instagram, unfortunately, still the WWE Wolf, because I do not know how to change the Instagram handle. I don't know. I have no idea. So I have to contact support or something. I don't know. You can text me if you know that.
Yeah, I could
You
even
can.
do it.
Oh,
I can let you know. Yeah.
oh, cool. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that afterwards. So then
Of course.
also, Pro Wrestling Tee Shop is coming soon. I just have to figure out how to log in again in my accounts. Then also SL Wrestling something in Germany. It's a homepage. You can buy merchandise as well. You find all the links in my profiles on my social media, and also booking_Axel Tischer at gmx.com is my email address for working inquiries, booking inquiries for all kinds of entertainment, pro wrestling stuff. And thank you for your time. Thank you for the promotion.
Oh, of
And
course. Thank
nice
you
to
for
talk to
coming
you.
on. Yeah, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.